You're listening to the Quint's podcast.
In a major breakthrough in talks to resolve the standoff between Indian and Chinese armed forces at the line of actual control in eastern Ladakh, China's Defense Ministry and Indian Defense Minister Rajnath Singh on 10th and 11th February respectively announced that Indian and Chinese troops on the southern and northern shores of Pangong Tso Lake have begun a phased, coordinated and verified disengagement. The consensus was reached during the 9th round of previously held military commander level talks. According to the agreement, both forces will move back to their traditional bases on the north bank of Pangong Tso. Significantly, both sides will stop patrolling to the extent of the respective claims in the area. The development comes after months of standoffs between India and China at the LAC, during which a violent face-off last year between the two sides at the Galwan Valley led to the death of 20 Indian soldiers and an undisclosed number of Chinese troops. The last standoff between the two Asian giants was in late August 2020, when India occupied certain peaks on the south bank, which were previously unoccupied by either side. Does this disengagement mean an end to the hostile environment and relations between the two countries? Or is it just another addition to a long list of landmark standoffs that are yet to be negotiated? To understand the impact of this agreement, for today's episode, we spoke to former Army Commander Lieutenant General A.K. Singh, who also served as the Governor of Andaman Nicobar Islands and Puducherry, and Manoj Joshi, a senior journalist and a distinguished fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. You're tuned in to The Big Story, the podcast where we dissect the headline-making news for you, and I'm your host, Himmat. Hours after Defense Minister Rajnath Singh told the parliament that India and China have begun disengagement of troops at the banks of Pangong Tso Lake in Ladakh, a video showing the disengagement processes surfaced on social media, which showed tanks on both sides turning back. What does the Indo-China disengagement process entail? According to the statements made by Rajnath Singh in Rajya Sabha on 11 February, China will pull its troops on the north bank towards the east of Finger 8. Similarly, India will also position its forces at its permanent base at the Dhan Sangh Thapa post near Finger 3. Similar action will also be taken by both the parties in the South Bank area as well. As previously stated, both sides have also agreed that the area between the two bases will become a no patrolling zone temporarily, till a more permanent agreement is reached through military and diplomatic talks. Further, all construction done by both sides on both the banks of the lake since April 2020 will also be removed. Both sides have called this a disengagement or a de-escalation of forces. But given the distrustful events of last year, should these developments be taken with a pinch of salt? According to former Army Commander Lieutenant General A.K. Singh, India's position has been consistently clear from the start, and given the range of core commander level talks, the agreement speaks for itself.
Well, the first point is that India's position has been very clear, and that position has been that we want the status quo ante as per April 2020 to be restored. And I think we have been consistent with that position. And right from the top political hierarchy to the diplomats to the military hierarchy, the position has been clear, and this has been coordinated in the CSG, China Study Group. So every time before a Corps Commander meeting, I think the Corps Commander comes down, he's present at the CSG, and a guidance is given. Also, a diplomat has been present. And, I think nine rounds of meetings have been held between the two Corps commanders. The last was the 9th one on 24th January, where I suppose some decisions were taken. And almost 200 hours. So I think one must also compliment the negotiating skills and the patience with which the Indian military hierarchy, supported by the rest, has negotiated this round. The good thing that, if I was to comment on the decisions taken, was that it was done without fanfare, it was done quietly, it wasn't leaked out, and so there were not many naysayers who kept talking, and the Honorable Raksha Mantri has given a very straightforward statement in Parliament. And that statement said that the process of disengagement has started, and we saw the tanks moving back. My understanding is that tanks which were face-to-face, at least south of Pangong Tso have moved back, I suppose, to from where they came. In our case, it probably would be Tangse or Neoma. And similarly, on the Chinese side, the next would be guns, and finally the infantry. That is the sequence that normally should happen. But I think we must have full faith in our ground troops. They are quite clear what is required, what is India's consistent position, and we have stuck to that. And finally, we have arrived at a thaw between the two sides.
Now, India in the past has swayed away from hurting Chinese sentiments when it comes to Tibet, the Belt and Road Initiative, and even calling out China for occupying the Doklam Plateau after the face-off in 2017. However, the tables turned after the standoff in Galwan Valley in 2020. In terms of economic responses to Chinese advancements at the border, India has so far banned 59 Chinese mobile apps in India and has also banned Chinese companies to participate in Indian highway projects, including through joint ventures. China also has been banned to invest in Indian MSME sector, and even imports from the country are being discouraged by the Indian government. According to Manoj Joshi, who is a senior journalist and a distinguished fellow at the ORF, the economic steps will not hurt China a lot. However, the clashes have resulted in a build-up of Indian forces along the Sino-Indian border, a development that China did not expect.
See, I'm not sure that they're bothered about the economic part of it because we constitute a very minor part of their economic profile. But I certainly think that what's going to be negative for them is the fact that if the Indians are going to build up strongly on the Sino-Indian border, which is the party which is directly affected, which is China. In the sense that till now, till fairly recently, the Chinese didn't have very many people, very many troops in Tibet. They had a large surge capacity, to send in forces there. But now they will have to build up this area. They used to treat this as a kind of a secondary sector. Their primary sector really deals with Taiwan and the South China Sea. That's their main military focus. But now, if India builds up, and India will build up along the line of actual control, the party which is obviously affected is China. So that is, in that sense, in my view, they have scored a self-goal.
But the question is, what led to China making such advancements at the LAC when India has shown no signs or even an inclination to breach borders in the past? Has China made such advancements in other regions or borders? The answer is yes. China has for many years now practiced success in one of the most important oceans in the world, the South China Sea, by claiming very small islands and waters around them. There are various satellite images and footage of Chinese ships literally creating islands along reef lines, and some islands also now host military bases. According to Lieutenant General A.K. Singh, China is looking at a long-term picture, where it sees a unipolar Asia, and the one country which stands in between them achieving this goal is India.
It's $1 million question. I think things were going well, but China looks at a long-term picture. And in the long term, they want a unipolar Asia. And the one country that stands between them and achieving this goal is India. So I don't know why they resorted to this. There were things on the trade front that were moving. There was no inclination that we would go to such a friction level where lives were lost and a lot of trust and goodwill that was built over the years. The Indian government had made a great effort. So that's a mystery. I suppose it will unfold slowly. But it has to deal with power play. It has to possibly deal with strategic ambitions, and not really merely confined to getting a slice of ground here, a slice of ground there. That's my assessment.
It is important to note that the ongoing disengagements between the two countries are currently only limited to the Pangong Tso Lake LAC. Given the shortage of trust between both sides, only time will tell how these disengagements will play out and the future economic relations between the two countries. If you liked listening to this episode, please subscribe to The Big Story for episodic updates. We're available on Apple, Google Podcasts, Spotify, JioSaavn, and most of the other popular podcast streaming platforms. For other podcasts, please log on to the Quint website, and for any feedback, please shoot an email to podcast@thequint.com.
Thanks for listening. Log on to the Quint's website and check out our other podcasts.